Sometimes, the smallest visits change everything. I only went to her house to say hello, nothing more. I had plans, a schedule, a life moving too fast for nostalgia. But when she opened the door, her eyes glistened like time itself had been waiting for me. And then she said, "Why don't you stay a little longer?" Those 7 words stopped me. I didn't know then that staying would rewrite everything I thought I understood about love, loss, and forgiveness. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness for more stories that touch the heart and remind us what truly matters in life. 2 story. The afternoon sun was bleeding gold across the quiet street as I parked outside her old brick house. The one with ivy crawling up its walls like it was clinging to history. It had been 3 years since I last visited her. 3 years since I said I'd come back soon. But soon had turned into seasons, and seasons into silence. I stood there for a moment, staring at her front door. Everything looked smaller, older. The wind carried the faint scent of jasmine, the same flower she used to grow in little terracotta pots by the porch. For a second I almost turned back. What was I even doing there? A quick hello, I told myself. A check-in. Nothing more. When I knocked, it wasn't the sound of my fist against the wood that startled me. It was how long it took for her to answer. The pause felt heavy, like she was gathering strength just to stand. Then, slowly, the door creaked open. She was there, Mrs. Harper. My old neighbor, my childhood anchor, the woman who had once been more of a mother to me than anyone else. Her hair was whiter now, softer, and her smile trembled before it appeared. "Ethan," she said, almost unsure. "Hi, Mrs. Harper," I replied with a weak smile. "I was just in town and thought I'd drop by to say hello." She looked at me for a long moment, eyes shimmering, and then, like time folded in on itself, she smiled. "Well," she said softly, "why don't you stay a little longer?" I hesitated. I had somewhere to be, a meeting, a dinner, a life that had no room for pauses anymore. But something about her voice, gentle, fragile, pleading, made me step inside. The house smelled exactly the same. Fresh baked bread, lavender, and the faintest hint of cinnamon from the cookies she always used to make. The old clock on the wall ticked in that steady rhythm that once filled my childhood afternoons with comfort. "You've redecorated," I said, glancing around. She laughed lightly. "No, dear. Things just move around on their own when you get old." We sat in the living room, sunlight slanting through lace curtains, dust motes swirling like tiny ghosts. She poured tea into 2 mismatched cups, the same ones she'd had since her husband Arthur passed away. I remembered the stories she used to tell about him. The way they met at a train station. The way he proposed under the rain. The way she never stopped loving him, even when cancer took him away. "How's life treating you, Ethan?" she asked, her voice filled with genuine care. I shrugged. "Busy. I guess that's a good thing." "Busy isn't always the same as happy," she said quietly. Her words landed like a soft punch. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. She was right, though. I'd been running so fast, chasing deadlines, promotions, and things that didn't fill me. I'd forgotten how to stop, how to breathe. She leaned forward and took my hand, her skin paper, thin but warm. "You used to smile more," she whispered. I looked at her, and something inside me cracked. We talked for hours. About everything. About nothing. About the little things that had changed and the big things that hadn't. She told me about the neighbors who'd moved away, the boy down the street who'd gotten married, and how she still baked on Sundays even though there wasn't anyone left to eat with her. When the clock struck 6, I realized I'd lost track of time. I stood to leave, apologizing, but she looked up at me with that same trembling smile and said, "Stay a little longer." And so I did. We ate dinner together, soup and bread, simple but perfect. I washed the dishes while she hummed a tune I hadn't heard since I was a kid, the kind of song that makes the air itself feel nostalgic. Then she brought out an old photo album, edges worn, pages curling. There were pictures of me, little me, grinning with missing teeth, holding a cookie in each hand. "You were like the son I never had," she said softly. Her eyes glistened, and I saw something I hadn't seen before: loneliness. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't cry, just lingers quietly. She looked frailer now, like her body was tired of pretending to be strong. I noticed the pills by her nightstand, the faint tremor in her hands, and suddenly I realized what she'd meant when she said, "Why don't you stay a little longer?" It wasn't just an invitation. It was a wish. We sat by the fireplace that night. She told me stories, some I'd heard, some I hadn't. I told her about my job, my failed engagement, the emptiness that came with success. She listened like every word mattered. At one point, she closed her eyes, resting her head back against the chair. "Ethan," she said quietly, "promise me something. Anything. Don't wait until people are gone to tell them they mattered." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "I won't," I whispered. That night, when I finally left, she hugged me tighter than she ever had before. "Come back soon," she said. "I will," I promised. But life once again got in the way. Weeks passed, then months, until one morning, I got a call from the same neighbor who used to bring her groceries. "Ethan," she said, "I thought you should know." Mrs. said, "Harper passed away last night." The world went quiet. When I arrived at her house, everything was the same. The curtains, the jasmine, the ticking clock. But it felt hollow, as if the air itself mourned her absence. On the table next to her teacup was a note in her neat, shaking handwriting. "Toi, if you're reading this, you came back. Thank you for staying a little longer that day. You reminded me what love feels like, simply being remembered. Take care of yourself, Ethan. Don't let the world make you forget how to be kind." I sat there for a long time, holding that note, tears blurring the ink. She had been right all along. Life isn't measured by how much we achieve. It's measured by how deeply we connect, even in fleeting moments. I left her house at sunset, but her words stayed. Now, every time I pass by someone I once knew, every time I feel too busy for a conversation, I remember her voice saying, "Why don't you stay a little longer?" And sometimes I do. Because you never know when a small visit could become a final goodbye, or a beautiful reminder that love, in its simplest form, is time.